I'm standing outside because it's literally, well, it's 25 degrees outside today, and inside it's a lot warmer. So I don't really want to be there unless I really have to. Well, I've got something exciting to show you that I think you'll be really happy about. Something new, something different. And if you like motor racing, like I do, then you're really going to enjoy me sharing this journey with you. So, what have I done? It's hard to fit it all in frame, but it's a go-kart. The rear axle's there. The wheels are here. I've even got a data logger and 2 engines. So what the hell are they? Retro karting in the UK has really taken off. One of the reasons why karting can be expensive is because there's no suspension in any of the components, and so the suspension is actually taken in the frame, and if you want to be competitive you have to buy frame after frame after frame because you want to have metal that's not fatigued. Also, they tend to run on really soft tyres, and you spend a lot of money on engines, etc. etc. Now, with retro karting, there's a lot of people who used to race when they were younger. They may have old equipment sitting in their sheds that's not really worth anything. And it turns out that people wanted to rekindle their youth, and they didn't want to spend too much money necessarily doing it. And so there are now race series that cater for a range of karting tastes from the 90s and around that period. Karting in the 90s really developed. It really changed. The chassis at the start of the 90s compared to the chassis at the end of the 90s are quite different. However, there was one class that was quite consistent throughout the 90s and was consistently the most popular class in the UK. And that class is TKM. And that's what this kart is. This is a retro or classic TKM chassis. Now, TKM was slightly different in that it was a budget class. And the chassis were homologated, and there really wasn't much you could do to them. It was restrictive, even in terms of karting, where there really isn't much you can do to the chassis anyway. So the chassis was homologated, they run on really hard tyres that would last a very long time, and the engines would also be able to run without too many rebuilds in between. So you could race competitively for quite a budget price. In fact, the TKM class is still going today, although the chassis have changed. They're now on full-bore MSA standard chassis rather than the original homologated chassis. Okay, so this is a classic TKM. It is a ZIP CD15. So what is unique about this and what makes this a TKM chassis? Let's have a look at the details. So looking at this kart, you can see that we've got, there's the rear bumper. On some karts you can actually put bracing in here, bracing at the rear bumper to try and stiffen or soften the chassis. That's not something you can do on a classic TKM. Furthermore, there's no caster adjustment here or camber adjustment. It's pretty much fixed and there's really nothing you can do. Got the front bumper there which isn't connected. So the only thing you can really do here on the front end is adjust the track. So you can change these spaces here and move the front wheels in or out. There is some Ackerman adjustment there as well potentially. We could also change the fuel tank. We've got a 5 litre fuel tank there. I've also got a 3 litre fuel tank there as well. And as you know, we've also got the rear axle, which is really what makes a go-kart. We've got the single hydraulic disc brake system at the back. And TKM specifically runs a 30mm axle. More modern karts tend to be a 50mm axle, which means the axle tends to be much stiffer, and they'll try and change the stiffness by changing material or also changing the bearings. This one's a 2 bearing. TKM have 2 bearings only, whereas more modern go-karts might have an extra bearing in there so you can adjust the stiffness. The other thing you could do here, you've got the hubs here which the wheels connect to. You can see the 3 bolts there the wheel connects to. You can adjust the track here in and out as well. And that's pretty much it. Just the track and the seat. You can change the seat out with a different material and have different stiffness chassis. So everyone uses this TKM BT82 engine. It is available in 100cc and 115cc Extreme version. These are the 115cc Extreme versions. They all use a standard Walboro carburettor as well. It's not a massively powerful engine. It is light, which is quite good as well. And the modern TKMs, they have their own TKM tyre, which is a kind of hardish tyre compared to what's available in the market. However, these tyres here are Bridgestone YDS tyre, which is a very hard tyre. This was the tyre they used in Race Retro, but they've now changed to the Dunlop SL3s, I think it is. That is the same tyre now used by 100 UK, which is another classic TKM class, whereas the F100 classic TKM class uses the TKM Maxxis tyre. So by changing the tyre, we've actually got the option to race in 2 separate series with the same machine. So what we're going to do today is we're going to strip this thing down as much as possible, as long as I can stand being in this really hot garage, and then try and build it back up tomorrow. The only fabrication we really should have to do, potentially, and we might just leave it, is make a new floor tray, because the original owner told me that the floor tray has got a crack in it and really needs replacing. He's actually bought and given me a sheet of metal to do that, so that's something that we can do potentially, but maybe just for practice we'll just leave it as is if it's not too bad.